Yeah, this is a very interesting component of this psychotherapy. And me as a hypnotherapist, I see a correlation between these two type of therapy. So before getting trained or getting deeper into ketamine assisted psychotherapy, I was doing a lot of hypnotherapy with my clients before. And when clients go into very deep subconscious mode, whether they're going through meditation or breath work, any hypnotic technique that we use to put a person in a very subconscious mode, meaning that the conscious part of it does not work. So the person can see some symbols. And the symbols a lot of times does not mean anything to the clients because, to people, they don't know what that is. And until the point that we started to research the meaning, you can even Google it and see spiritual meaning of some things. It could be a pine knot, or could be an angel, it could be something else. So, and it's very interesting because the meaning of the symbols might relate or can directly relate to the people's experience. It could be traumatic experience in the past, but it could be something more deeper, because we have always, all of us have some kind of traumatic experience, all of us, some deeper, some small, some layers of it. And it's somehow, it's interconnected in our subconscious mind. So it's very difficult for the mind of human being to untie it, I would say, and put it on the flat surface and make sense. A lot of times subconscious part of it does not make sense. So our subconscious part, which is one part of our as human beings, does talk to us, but through symbols. We don't have time to listen to us and connect with ourselves because we're so busy in this world, right? This world is screaming and noise or social media. So we're just busy at work. We come home and then we're tired. We don't have time to listen to ourselves and to connect. But when we do, then we might be able to see some symbols, and symbols meaning the subconscious part is talking to us. But also what people say is mythical part is that when you connect with yourself, you can have some encounters. It's very interesting encounters. They talk it as mythical. I don't see them as very mythical, but I see them as very natural part of ourselves that have been existing from the beginning of the first day of being born in this world. But somehow this part of us have been disconnected on multiple levels. Okay, if that makes sense. So yeah, I see the correlation here in ketamine. The ketamine session, the only differences between people going into the very deep subconscious part is ketamine is helping to shut down all this consciousness, and screaming and our thinking. So that a lot of times it could be part of the conscious part. Sometimes it could be part of the subconscious part of ourselves. When it's shutting down, then there's a chance to reconnect with ourselves, to review all the symbols, science, and everything that's around us or that's even within us, and make sense of us. And that's why there's a psychotherapist that's a guide, and we call them as a shamanic psychotherapist. They make sense to us because they know our history. They can read in between the lines, and they might help you to make a sense of your symbols.
Right. And we understand, like, you're the expert of your own life, and so symbols that are meaningful to in your experience may come up, and they may only be meaningful to you, and having a therapist there to kind of tease out kind of what came up for you and how it relates to your own experience, especially based on your intention and why you came in for ketamine assisted psychotherapy. Because a lot of we believe that there's a kind of a inner intelligence in all of us, and we're wanting to heal, and ketamine kind of is a tool to help us get into that inner intelligence and that's when some of the like Ina says, the symbolism, the the mythological, it can be beings even. People have had experience of having beings and seeing things that are, you know, quite strange, and to really make sense of those experiences and take them, so that we can, you know, outside of session, carry them into our own lives and heal is quite profound when you work directly with a therapist who knows, kind of how to work with you.
Yeah. Yeah. And the mythical parts, what might be happening in a session, I can see this in hypnotherapy session, and the same as in ketamine session, deep session, that the client or the person itself becoming a channel of this information because they are reconnected. But somehow we as a psychotherapist, I deeply feel as well at times that I'm connected to that kind of channel of information. And what happened, I'm going to just share with maybe one example of some of the sessions, which could be viewed as a really weird experience, but it kept happening, and so during almost each session, that at times when the client is looking for meaning, like what's going on, what happened, why, because they need that trigger or they need that push for the transformation. And there might be some information that might come to me to tell the client during the session, right? It might be very therapeutic. However, when we go over the angel cards, I just want to show you, this is the angel cards we work with during the session. Okay, so there's the angel cards, and we work this as a maybe a psychological trigger or reason for the transformation, because sometimes that's what people need, or just they need to confirm their own thinking or their feeling, but they also need something to help them maybe confirm the reason for the transformation, or maybe the meaning for it. So at times when I say something during the session, and then we pull the cards, so the cards is being pulled by the client during the session, and they're interesting. When they pull a new card, the card might repeat exactly the same sentence what I've just said as a confirmation, and it's happened multiple times, which is kind of giving this sense of this mystical experience, like what is going on in that space, why we're all connected as one kind of in that space, and we're either reading the same information. Is the client is being connected to the universe, to themselves, that's helping them to feel who they are. And a lot of things, what's happening in the session is the clients getting to the bottom of their identity. I feel that during the ketamine sessions, the reason for people's depression or anxiety or even panic attacks is sometimes it's loss of themselves, but many times is that they did not know who they are. And the traumatic experience in their life would completely push them aside and don't give them an opportunity to reconnect with themselves and be confident in their own identity and pursue their life. So after ketamine sessions, people would reconnect, they would start feeling themselves, and they would start seeing symbols or signs as kind of the world starts speaking to them. And not giving them, every time they see these symbols or signs, it's just giving them a confirmation, another confirmation, and another confirmation to support their growth. And we see really rapidly, it happens between 2 to 4 sessions, that the client would come back as absolutely different people.